Hi folks. When I was watching YouTube last week, I saw this video by a guy named MHP Gardener on YouTube about how to build a woodshed hoop house. Now, we have a wood stove in our house and I usually burn, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 cords a year of wood. And I've been trying to find the perfect way to store that wood, to keep it dry. I've had plywood on top of the wood, which is great, and that was probably the best solution I found yet. I've used tarps. Tarps are tough because if you go out and get the wood, when it's raining out, you get rain on you, and then if it's powdery snow, you get the snow down your sleeves. So I really want to find a way to store the wood that's easy, efficient, and doesn't cost a lot. And that video I saw by MHP Gardener really got the juices flowing. So this is going to be my attempt to make a woodshed hoop house. And I'm going to put a link here to his video, but I just wanted to show you how I'm going to do it. And my goal, originally I wanted to spend $100 or less. It looks like it's going to be more like $150 or so. But if I can build a nice woodshed that's going to keep my wood dry for $150 and make it more enjoyable to go get the wood in the middle of the winter or in the middle of a rainstorm, I think it's well worth the investment. So what I'm going to do is, I'd like to build it so that I can have 3 rows of wood here. I've got 3 rows of wood, and then I'm going to put my hoops. This is 3/4 inch PVC, and this is what I'm going to use for my hoops. And what I did yesterday, I'm probably about 6 hours into the project so far, is I got 3 yards of gravel, I made this nice level pad, and then I put some 2x6s here, which are going to be what I screw the bottom of my PVC into. So when I'm done with this project, I'm actually going to take off the 2 boards on the ends so I can just bring the wheelbarrow right in. And these cleats on the side are just to square it up so it's easier to maneuver. So hopefully I can just walk you through and show you what I'm doing here. And you know, if you can use the same ideas or make it your own, the more power to you. Yesterday I made my materials list and I went out and I actually got the materials and started to put some things together and cut pieces. I really didn't do much assembling yesterday. What I did is I used this PVC cement here to cement together the pieces of PVC, and it's amazing. You just clean the joints, put some of this on, and then twist the joint as you put it together, and within a minute I noticed that the joints were definitely starting to harden up. I made these really neat, I got some 1/2 inch conduit, I made these really neat stakes. I just cut them to 30 inches and then banged the tip together. And my plan was to bang this into the ground and then go ahead and put the 3/4 inch conduit over it and then screw the board into this with some pipe straps. But it seemed kind of counterproductive because I've already got the wood there and you're actually adding a step. So I think what I'm going to do is, once I get all my hoops up, I'll just go ahead and bang these next to the wood, get some 1/2 inch straps for metal conduit, and strap them in. The only other thing I did kind of notice is when I went to the store to buy the straps, these are actually EMT straps. They're not PVC straps. So when I got home and I put these around the PVC, they really are significantly smaller than the PVC. But once I went ahead and put some screws on them, because they're smaller, they really did a nice job keeping it tight. So I think we're going to go with these. So we're going to just keep moving forward. I don't know if you can see in the background, there's a row of pipes back there. I took some time yesterday and I made one dummy pipe to kind of see how high I wanted it to be and what was comfortable so I could walk through it without being so high it's going to be caught by the wind. And so today I'm just going to go ahead and keep cutting my PVC pipes, screwing those in. I'll see if I can get some metal bars in and we'll see where we end up at the end of the day. Yesterday I finished up putting the purlins on the greenhouse. I got the last of my hoops up, and I also went ahead and put some pieces of 1/2 inch EMT and secured them to the side of the 2x6s. I read somewhere on the internet that it's best when you're doing your purlins to put them at the 10 and 2 o'clock position. And all I did for my purlins was I just put the same straps I showed you yesterday, the 3/4 inch EMT straps, and I just put a screw on either side. I didn't put a screw in the middle because it just didn't really seem necessary to tighten them down. They were so tight already. I am very pleased with the way things are coming along. It's a very nice looking structure, and I really don't know why I haven't built a greenhouse sooner, because boy, if I threw some plastic on this and had some nice dirt, I'm pretty sure I could make it a greenhouse in a second. So all that's left to do now is to just go ahead and put some plastic on top, and I'm going to be using a brown tarp, and I haven't decided quite yet if I'm going to cover the entire top and sides of the hoop house, or just cover like most of the top and then leave a couple feet or 3 feet on the sides to let more air and light in. I don't want to make it too comfortable for critters to live in, and more airflow can only be better as far as the wood drying out. And I also would prefer to use locally available materials so I can get some tarps that'll do the job if I don't go too big, instead of having to order something online. But we'll find out next video which way we ended up going on that one. So let me just walk you through a couple details about how I did things if you're interested, and then hopefully after this we'll show you the completed project. So here's a pretty good shot of how I secured the board to the ground so it doesn't blow away if there's some heavy wind. I've just got my 1/2-inch EMT conduit secured by some straps here. And then here is my 3/4-inch Schedule 40 conduit secured to the board, and I just used a couple 3/4-inch EMT straps. When you're putting your hoops in, the key is you want to make sure they're all the same length and they start at the same distance from the ground, because if this one was up higher and the next one was lower, when they get to the top they're going to be all different heights. So I use the bottom of this board to set my height. Both of these boards are level, or fairly close to it. So I use the bottom of this board to set that height. When I set these purlins, what I did is I just tied a string to the end hoop and then at the other end, and I measured it's 65 inches from the ground to the hoop. And I suppose if I was trying to be a little more cautious, I could have put a line level. I could have put a string and then put a line level. And I got a chance to finish my woodshed over the weekend, and I did end up putting the tarp just over the top, like 3/4. There's about 2 feet of space between the ground and the edge of the tarp. And I did try putting a bigger tarp on top of it, and it really, it closed it in a lot. It felt a lot more confined, and there wasn't nearly the airflow as well. So I decided to go with the brown tarp on top. Now, I'm in a residential area. I don't really want this to stand out like a sore thumb, so I went with the brown. You certainly could use clear plastic, or even like a blue plastic as well. Overall, I'm very pleased with the way things came out. There were a couple things that don't always go the way you plan. The first thing that happened was I did end up having to put a 3rd screw where I put my pieces here to screw in the PVC. I did end up putting a 3rd screw on, because without that 3rd screw, when I was putting the plastic on, I ended up, the pieces would start sliding. So, you know, it's going to be easier for you if you do that first right away. The other thing that was a bit of a curveball, but sort of expected also, was when I took off my 2 pieces. I had 2 pieces of wood at the beginning of the house. When I took off those 2 pieces, there's one side where the 2x6s on the sides did kind of bow out a little bit. But, you know, given those minor setbacks, and, you know, again, this isn't something that's going to be like a, you know, you look at all the time. It's away from the house, and I'm pretty sure it still looks, you know, pretty good in my book. So here you can see I've stacked, this is about a little over 4 feet high now, my wood, and I've got my 3 rows of wood, and it's been drizzly and foggy like this now for a couple days. So the outside of this wood did get a little bit wet, but once you get back maybe 6 inches or so, it's completely dry. And, you know, I'd rather come out and deal with this on a rainy or snowy day as opposed to lifting the tarp off. And I'm pretty sure that the wood likes this better as well, because once that rain stops and temperatures drop below freezing, all this rain will dry right out. So a couple other things I just wanted to show you was to attach my tarp. And by the way, my tarp is 12 feet. I don't know if that's the length or the width. The tarp is 12 feet to get about 2 feet from the ground. And you know, I also learned with tarps is if it says 12 by 16 tarp, it's usually like 11.5 by 15.5 or a little bit less than that. Because when they fold over the edges, of course they measure the full size of the tarp and then they fold it over, but it sounds better to say 12 by 16 or whatever. So your tarp is going to be slightly smaller than whatever size you buy. But what I used to attach the tarps is I went to the Big Blue box store and I found these guys, and these were like 75 cents each. And these were great. I just put these on drilled them right to the 2x6, and they did a nice job to attach my ropes to. The rope I use, and this is more just so I can remember if I ever want to buy it again, I use this, it's 90-pound safe working load, it's 100 feet by 3/16, and it is diamond braid nylon rope, but this is the rope I ended up using. So if I ever want to go back and find that stuff again. To secure the plastic on the edges, what I ended up doing was if you take a 3/4 inch piece of PVC and then you get a 1 inch piece of PVC, and if you cut it like a C shape, I was basically going with leave 2/3, cut 1/3. What you can do is once the plastic is over, you can just snap that on top. Now you're going to have to play around with that a little bit, because the more you leave of the outside, the more you leave of this outside piece of PVC, the tougher it is to get the clamp on and get off. So you want to find that happy medium between having your clamp on tight and not having it so tight you can never get it off if you ever need to for some reason. So overall, I'm quite pleased with the way things went. Oh, the only other thing I noticed was when I was loading wood, I did start to load wood. I made the pile on this side work backwards. I was hoping to get like a second row centered in the middle, and I'm sure I will somewhat. But when you stack wood over about 4 feet, if these wood piles are going this way, if you're reaching 4 feet high, just because of the angle of that wood, I'm 6 feet tall, it's very difficult to reach that wood all the way to the end. So while it looked good on paper to build it this way and figure, yeah, I can definitely put 2 more stacks in the middle, it ends up almost, yeah, it can be done, but I've been basically like soft tossing the last foot or 2 of the pile to get them where they need to be. So with this guy here being 16 feet long and 6 feet wide, and I started my piles about 6 or 8 inches inside the top of the tarp, I'm going to assume I'm going to get about 3 cords in. And I said I burn 5 to 7 cords a year, so this is not going to be my entire wood supply, but it's certainly going to make a big dent in it. And in the middle of the winter, when you've got snow on the ground or a rainy day, it'll be a great way to get wood. And then on sunny, nice days, I can certainly go to the tarp pile. If you'd like some more details about how I did this, you are welcome to leave some comments. I'll make some other videos. If you make something, you know, if you take my design, make it better, please let me know. I'll be happy to put a link in the description or something so other people can learn. And thanks a lot for watching today, folks.